Okay, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. And listen, folks, if you forget what he said. If you want to talk and make noise and tear up the seats, and if you want to do things to each other, that's perfectly okay. We had a wonderful time making these movies, and this was a crazy movie. God told me to. I can guarantee you've never seen anything quite like this movie. It's very different. It's very unusual. Got a fabulous cast of Academy Award-winning actors. Some of the great classic stars like Sylvia Sidney, Academy Award winners like Sandy Dennis. Just wonderful people that I enjoyed working with, and so many funny things and crazy things happened making the picture. Andy Kaufman's first screen appearance, you'll see, as a psychopathic killer, and picked Andy up at the Improv Club when he was just starting to do his act and gave him his chance to do his first movie. Plays a cop. I said to him, Andy, we're going to need a police uniform for you. What size shirt do you wear? I don't know, he says. I said, what size pants do you wear? I don't know, he says. Well, what size hat do you wear? I don't know. I says, well, you're a grown man. What do you do for clothes? He says, I wear my father's old clothes. And he wasn't kidding. And when we got him down to the St. Patrick's Day parade, where we infiltrated him into the parade as a cop who was going to pull a gun and go crazy in the middle of 5,000 uniformed policemen marching on St. Patrick's Day, and Andy realized I was crazier than he was. And when we got him down there, he put his hat on backwards and started walking around flirting with all these drunken Irishmen who were gathered for the parade, flirting and blinking his eyelashes at them and blowing kisses. And they thought he was some kind of a weird cop, so they wanted to jump over the barricades and beat him to a pulp, and I had to protect him through the entire shoot of the scene. He was just provoking everybody. He was as crazy then as he ever was when he became a big star. And before you see the picture, there's just one incident that I should tell you about, because it just shows you how crazy movie making can be. We were shooting a scene of a sniper killing people from atop a water tower in mid-Manhattan. It's at the very beginning of the picture. This was way before this really happened, and there have been plenty of these snipers since. The guy playing the sniper was the winner of the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Musical of a chorus line, Sammy Williams. And he was a courageous little guy up on top of that tower without any wires to hold him on there. And he's supposed to be shooting a telescopic rifle. And we're all set. We've got the stuntmen ready. We've got all the actors ready. The camera's set. But the production assistant has not shown up with the telescopic rifle. And we're standing there, and he hasn't come. And finally, the guy shows up, and he doesn't have the rifle with him. He says, my friend who was going to give me the rifle changed his mind. I said, well, why didn't you call us? He said, I didn't want to get you upset. So I'm thinking, how am I going to shoot this scene? The guy's going to point his finger and go bang, and people will fall down in the street, right? Now, meantime, about 12 people had gathered in the roof of the apartment building where we were shooting this thing, and there were people who lived in the building and spectators, you know. And for some reason, some insane reason, I just turned to these 12 people and I said, has anybody got a telescopic rifle in their apartment? And this girl says, my boyfriend does. I said, would you mind getting it, please? And 5 minutes later, we were shooting the scene, which proves to me that the title of God is not only in the movie, but he was my production manager as well. Okay, look at the picture now. You'll have plenty of questions afterwards, and I'll be here to answer them after the showing of God Told Me To, and I hope you like it. Well, did you like the picture? Yeah. You must admit it's different. So a lot of people want to know about the St. Patrick's Day parade. We stole that sequence. We just infiltrated Andy Kaufman into the parade. We had a permit to shoot the parade. They just thought we were going to take pictures of the parade. They didn't know we had a story going or anything or that we were going to put people actually in the parade and mix them in. But once we got down there with all those cameras, we had 3 camera crews, and they had to keep moving all the time because the parade wouldn't stop. Once the parade starts, it's not stopping again for anybody. So we'd run to keep up with the parade, and when the crew got exhausted, then the second crew would be waiting to take over, and they'd start running with the parade, and then the third crew took off, and the first crew got ahead of the parade and got up into a building and did overhead shots and stuff like that. Fortunately, the parade goes on for an hour and a half or something, so we were able to keep getting ahead of ourselves. And we did the whole number. We didn't have any sound, however, in the recording sound. We didn't have any microphones to record any sound because there was only one line of dialogue in the whole sequence where Andy Kaufman says, "God told me to," and we didn't have a microphone, so I actually dubbed Andy's voice. So that's me saying "God told me to" and Andy's lip syncing. So then after the picture played, Andy said to me, "Well, I know you didn't have a microphone. How'd you get my voice?" I said, "Andy, that's not your voice, it's my voice." He said, "I know my own voice. That's my voice." This went on for 7 or 8 years. Every time we ran into each other, we'd get into an argument because he would claim that I was telling him a falsehood, that it was really his voice, even though he knew it hadn't been recorded. So this went on until Andy died, and we never resolved it. But now he's up in heaven and he knows it was my voice. So and then we came out to California, and I didn't think we had enough, so we restaged the St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown LA. And we didn't have any money, of course, to do anything on this picture, so I called up the Irish American organizations in Southern California and said, "How would you people like to celebrate St. Patrick's Day all over again? I know you've got the costumes, and you've got the bands, and you've got the majorettes, and you've got all the whole works." So they jumped at the chance. They rented their own buses, and they showed up in downtown LA, free of charge, hundreds of people in full regalia, and restaged the parade so I could put the blood squibs in and add some, window dressing to the parade sequence. And that's how we did it. And we made it for virtually no money. So just goes to show you what you can do if you have nothing but guts. Of course, today with security and terrorism and stuff, if we showed up in the middle of the St. Patrick's Day Parade with a gun, I think I would be in jail for a very long time. So we managed to get through that well. So that's the picture. I was very proud of the cast. I was very happy to have worked with Sylvia Sidney, who was the old lady in the rest home, who, in case you don't know, was one of the great stars of the 1930s and 40s. She got billing over Humphrey Bogart and Henry Fonda and everybody. She was a very big star on Broadway and in motion pictures. And as a result of this, I think she got into a lot of pictures that Tim Burton made subsequent to this. She was in Beetlejuice and a couple of other Tim Burton pictures. And the editor of this film edited most of Tim Burton's pictures, Chris Levinson, and the assistant cameraman went on to be the DP for most of Tim Burton's pictures also. So we had a lot of alumni from this film who went on to bigger and better things.
It's like working with Tony, and what did you think of him in the French Connection?
Well, I liked Tony very much. I had done a play off-Broadway called Nature of the Crime, and Tony LoBianco was the star of that play. And I hired him for that after I saw him in a picture called The Honeymoon Killers. Everybody see The Honeymoon Killers? And Tony was the lead. Shirley Stoller was the fat woman he was in love with, and they murdered people. And it was a very interesting picture. Actually, Tony told me that Martin Scorsese started to make that picture. He was actually the original director on the film, and somehow got aced out of it, and they finished the picture without him. And I think Leonard Castle ended up as a credited director. But I saw that picture, and Tony was wonderful, and when he came up for the part in my play, I jumped at the chance to work with him, and we got along great. And then when I wanted to make this picture sometime later, actually I started the film with Robert Forster. You know Robert Forster? Yeah. Robert Forster was going to play the part of that Tony LoBianco played. And after two days, we parted company. I wasn't happy with his performance. As a matter of fact, we broke up over his chewing gum. I just didn't think somebody who'd turn out to be an alien or a godlike creature would be chewing gum. And I tried to stop him from chewing gum, but he'd hide it in his mouth, and then he'd start chewing it halfway through a scene. So after 2 days of worrying about gum chewing, I told him I didn't think we'd be happy together, and I dismissed him, and I called Tony up and said, "Hey, Tony, if you want to be in a movie, I've got a movie for you." And it was a little difficult because Tony was going to go into a play, and he had to be finished every day by 5 o'clock. And I shoot long hours. So what I had to do was I had to set the whole scenes up so I could shoot all the front stuff facing Tony, and all the stuff where Tony's back was to the camera was a double. So if you ever look at the picture again, whenever you see Tony Lubianco facing away from the camera, it ain't him. So, you know, I love challenges like that. Just like I told you the story about the guy with the rifle not showing up and everything. No matter what happens, you always seem to land on my feet. So I thrive on chaos.
What did you think of him in the French Connection?
Oh, he did a very good job in the French Connection, but everybody was overshadowed by Gene Hackman. You couldn't really emerge from the French Connection because Gene Hackman stole the whole picture. And Tony was very good in this, and I had great hopes that he was going to go ahead and become a real movie star up there on the level of Pacino and De Niro and all that. But it just never happened for him, and that's and you look back after 35 years having made these kind of pictures, and you look back at the careers that crossed your paths and the people who you thought were going to make it, and maybe they didn't. It's kind of sad in a way because Tony has never stopped working, but he never achieved the goal that he had in his heart, his great ambition. I think he really wanted to be a star. I don't think he was ever any better in any picture than he was in God Told Me To. I think this is it for him. Yes, ma'am.
How did you come up with that idea?
Oh, well, you know, people ask me these questions on all my movies. It's Alive and the stuff and everything else. How do you come up with the idea? I'm just a very sick person. Very twisted. Ask anyone that, ask George Folsey, he'll tell you. All right, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, tell him about your involvement with Bernard Herrmann and how he almost scored this film.
Well, Bernard Herrmann had scored my movie It's Alive. We'd become very good friends. We actually scored It's Alive over in England with the London Philharmonic Orchestra that also recorded the music for this. Frank Cordell did the music for this picture, and it was recorded by the London Philharmonic Orchestra. And so we went all the way with good music on our films. And I hired Bernard Herrmann to do the music on It's Alive when he was supposed to do The Exorcist, and he had a falling out with Friedkin. And he flew to New York from London to see The Exorcist, and they ran the picture, and when the lights came up, Friedkin said to Bernard Herrmann, "I want you to write me a better score than you did for Citizen Kane." And Bernard Herrmann said, "Then why didn't you make a better picture than Citizen Kane?" Well, that was the end of that, and he was soon available to do It's Alive. So thank you, William Friedkin. So I worked with Benny. He had a reputation as being an enfant terrible, you know, and he was actually the sweetest, loveliest person. He was like a grandfather to me, and we actually moved to England at his suggestion and saw him 3 or 4 times a week with the kids, and he was just wonderful. And then he came back to the United States, and he was doing Taxi Driver, and he was recording the music for Taxi Driver. After he finished the last day of recording, that night he came over to the Cohen studios. I ran this picture for him. He said he was going to do it. He took us out to dinner, and we took him back to his hotel at the Universal Sheraton. And in the morning, Scorsese called me and said that he had died in his sleep during the night. So he didn't get to score this picture, but he gave me many ideas while we were having dinner that night. And so I dedicated the picture to him. But he was a dear friend, and I feel I really missed out, but I was fortunate that his agent was represented Frank Cordell, who got an Oscar nomination for Cromwell and was a wonderful composer, and he filled in and did the job. So music is one of the best parts of the picture, I think. Anything else, folks? Yes, sir. Front row.
There's a lot of social commentary in your movies, and I'm wondering, do you start off writing with specific topics or themes you want to address, or do you find the meaning along the way?
I generally don't work on outlines or storylines. I just sit down and start writing the damn thing, and I get lost in it, and it kind of writes itself. I don't know what's going to happen next. So when I started this thing, I didn't even know that the character of Nicholas was going to turn out to be a pseudo-alien or what was going to happen. It just happened as it went along. That's the way I like to write, because then every day when I go to work, I'm having a good time. I want to see what's going to happen next. I'm watching the movie. I don't want to know what's going to happen if I can avoid it. When I have an assignment from the studio, and then I have to tell the story to the producers, and I have to know more or less what's going to happen. But with my own movies, I just like to make them up as I'm doing them. Yes?
Yeah, I noticed in the, I guess you'd call it the insemination scene in the ship.
Yeah.
The background was a freeze frame of one of the travel tubes in Space 1999.
That's exactly what it was. So was the spaceship when she got sucked up into it. I had no money to build spaceships or anything. We were in England, and I was looking for stock footage, and I went in and they had this stock footage. I'd never seen 1999. I didn't know where the hell that stuff came from, but I said, hey, this looks like I could use this stock footage as the backgrounds and map the actors into it. So we photographed the woman being lifted up over at Pinewood Studios, and then we used those backgrounds. Later on, after the picture came out, people started calling me up and saying, hey, that's from Space 1999. I had no idea what Space 1999 was. And you know something, I've never seen the show. So, that's a good question. You've got a lot of good questions tonight. Anybody else? Yes?
With God Told Me To and Bone, where were the places that they actually premiered, and how was the response with the people?
Well, God Told Me To was acquired by New World Pictures under Roger Corman, and it was the largest cash acquisition he'd ever made. Roger was notoriously cheap. In fact, I've never been able to make a picture for Roger, because every time you get into the negotiations, it all has to go his way. And he has to make all the money. You don't make anything. Well, that was okay for a lot of people, but not for me. So I never was able to work with Roger. I think Roger's credited with having started off so many people, but the truth, in my opinion, is that he's let so many brilliant talents slip through his fingers. If he'd only hung on to those people and given them a little money, he would have made a fortune for himself and made some quality movies. You know, instead of, you know, I don't know. I mean, I still think this is one of the best pictures he ever released, but he didn't know how to release it, and they started off advertising it as a motion picture that offended every organized religion and things like that. This is a great way to get people to come into the theater, particularly when they opened it in Texas for the first engagement. So Bone, on the other hand, was acquired by a distributor named Jack H. Harris. Jack H. Harris was a wonderful man and is still a friend of mine to this day, and one of the biggest idiots ever to be in the distribution business. Jack H. Harris took Bone, which was a black comedy, and tried to sell it as a black exploitation film like Shaft or Superfly. And I told him, Jack, it's not an action movie. It's not a crime movie. It's not that kind of picture. It's a comedy. And Jack said, in his inimitable fashion, am I going to stand in the aisle and tell them not to laugh? So he did what he wanted to do, and the picture got reviewed as the most unintentionally funny movie I've seen this year, things like that, you know. So you can't sell vanilla ice cream as chocolate and please anybody. People, you know, even if you give them the best vanilla ice cream, they ordered chocolate and they don't want vanilla. So if you advertise a picture as a drama, it better be a drama. You can't sell them a comedy and tell them it's a drama. It doesn't work. So both these pictures were victims of bad distribution. On the other hand, my films like Black Caesar and It's Alive got very good distribution and made a lot of money and still bring in money to this day. After 35 years, there's still money coming in every month from those pictures. And these pictures, actually, God Told Me To is in profits because it was sold to a tax shelter. And so we ended up, you know, getting the negative cost back. And all the money we've gotten from DVDs and stuff like that, and television and worldwide sales has made, it went into profits. And Bone has never gone into profits yet. But we always have hopes.
Larry, just one more quick thing.
Yeah.
How was the response on 42nd Street for either one of these movies?
I was brutally beaten.
Beaten on 42nd Street?
Yes, when I went to, I'm only kidding, of course. But I didn't see these pictures on 42nd Street. I remember I did see a movie on 42nd Street, which was, I did a TV series called Blue Light, which is a World War II spy movie, and I had a brilliant idea to take 3 of the episodes and make it into a feature. So we made it into a feature, and lo and behold, they opened the goddamn thing on 42nd Street on a double feature. It was called I Deal in Danger. And I went into the theater to see it, and I sat down next to a big guy. He must have about 6'6", and his legs were all over into my area, and his elbows were all over into my section, and he was mean looking. And 42nd Street was a tough theater. They had guys walking up and down the aisle with baseball bats and security uniforms. This was tough. This is the same theater that's now running Mary Poppins in New York, the New Amsterdam Theater. And when this picture came on, I Deal in Danger, after about 7 or 8 minutes, this guy next to me started moving around in his seat, and he kept saying, "Shit, I saw this on TV." And for the next hour and 20 minutes, that's all he kept saying was, "Shit, I saw this on TV." And I was not going to say, "I'm the guy who thought that up," you know. So that's my memory of 42nd Street, actually. I keep out of there. Thank you very much.